I have a question for you. And before you answer it, I need you to be honest. Not Instagram honest, actually honest. When was the last time you did something purely because you wanted to? Not because it was expected, not because someone would disappoint if you didn't, not because you have already paid a non-refundable deposit. If you're sitting there and you genuinely cannot remember, this podcast is for you. Welcome to Off Script. Hi, my name is Erica Yu. For most of my life, I have worked as a strategy consultant. I help companies to think clearly about what they actually want. What organizations do you want to be? What are you optimizing for? Those are generally important questions, and those are questions I have never actually once asked about my own life. And today, I also work as a part-time life coach. And mostly, I work with women who have done everything right and who, at some very inconvenient hour of the night, feel that something is off. Not broken, not ungrateful. I just feel like you're living in a suit that's tailored by someone else. And the moment I finally understood this started with a party, specifically a birthday party that nobody has asked for. So, October. I live in Seattle, which means that October is the rain returns, Halloween parties, trick-or-treat. Every parent within a 5-mile radius slowly loses their mind. And apparently, I love challenges. Both of my children were born at the end of October, 5 days apart, which means that in every October, I'm running 2 simultaneous birthday operations, 2 themes, 2 sets of decorations, 2 invitation lists. And there's 1 year that I hit a wall. That year, I went into my very first life coaching session. And to be honest, I wasn't there for growth, I wasn't there for insight, I wasn't there for solution. I walked in because I need someone to look into my eyes and tell me, Erica, you're right. This is way too much for one person to take. I don't know why isn't there anybody else helping you out. You know what? You deserve a medal. Well, my life coach didn't say that. Instead, he asked me a question. Why is this important to you? I'm sorry, what? I just complained to you about balloon logistics and you're asking me why this is important? Well, I'm a mom. Moms host birthday parties. It's like children procrastinate on their homework. Dads spend half of their morning in the restroom. There's no why, it simply is. He didn't give up. He asked me the question again. Why is this important to you? I tried my best to answer. Well, I want to be a good mom. And as a good mom, I want my children to feel special and loved on their birthday. And then he asked, okay, that's fair enough. Now help me understand, how is birthday party the only way to do that? I opened my mouth and tried to answer, but I got nothing. I wanted to say that my children asked for it, but at the very moment I realized that my children actually had never asked for a birthday party. Not even once. I just assumed. We were in a private school and everybody else was doing it. And the parties every year is getting bigger and fancier. And somewhere along the way, I just assumed that being a good mom and throwing a fantastic birthday party merged into one thing in my head. That night, I went home and asked my children, what will make you feel special and happy for your birthday? They answered me, Mom, how about we just take 1 day off? No soccer training, no piano recital, and no homework. Just the 4 of us. We just hang out. Well, that's not a bad idea. I'm not gonna lie. We still had a birthday party that year because I had already paid a significant amount of deposit that apparently was not refundable. But we also had a day off, a wonderful day, just the 4 of us. And I promised myself next year we're not gonna go down the way like this again. And that night was the first time that I understood what coaching can do. Coaching does not hand you answers directly. It doesn't fix your calendar, but it gives you some really good questions. Questions you're too busy living your life and don't have a chance to ask yourself. Is this what I actually want? Or is this just what I assumed I'm supposed to want? Here's something I've noticed working with high-achieving women. The scripts that quietly run our lives do not show up with a label. They wouldn't stop by and say, hey, you know what? Good moms do not order delivery food. They cook for their children. Oh, and by the way, I'm the limiting belief you inherited from your grandmother, who lived 60 years earlier when JF Kennedy was still the president. They arrive quietly, disguised as a common sense, as just things are. And here's something nobody has warned you about. Following the script that was written for you does not feel like confinement. No. It feels like exhaustion that you cannot explain. Or you're doing everything right, but at some point of the time, doing right doesn't feel enough. You know, in video games, there are NPCs. They have a role, they have a route, they have lines written for them. They execute perfectly, according to the script, day after day. Nothing changes because nothing can. And then there are players. These are the people who come into the game, look around, and said, I don't really like this story. Can we change it? Can I change the skin? Can I actually change the character? And this podcast, Off Script, is mostly for women who are done performing versions of themselves that exist mostly to meet other people's expectations. Every episode, we look at a script, sometimes a big one, career, life, identity, or some inspiring stories from some inspiring ladies. Sometimes a smaller one, like a birthday party. Because the scripts that shapes entire lives almost always hide in the smallest, most ordinary moments. All right, and here's my invitation to you this week. Just once, in some ordinary moment, notice that you're doing something mostly because you're supposed to, not because you thought about it and you chose to. Just pause and ask, whose script is this? Because your life is so much more interesting when it is written in your own voice. I'm Erica Yu. This is Off Script. I'll see you next time.